Welcome back to another episode of the G Freak Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Jacko G Freak, today. And I just want to let you guys know that this podcast is sponsored by absolutely fucking nobody. So if you guys want to jump on and sponsor the podcast, make sure to slide into my DMs at Jacko G Freak. This podcast can be found for the visual on youtube.com/Jacko G Freak, as well as Spotify, Apple, and your favorite podcast website at G Freak Speaks. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest today. We have the man, the myth, the legend, John Maniac Inman. Have I said that right? Did I get that right?
Well, you got in Maniac right, but John is not correct.
Josh! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Dude!
Well, this is a one take. It's got to stay in.
This is a one take. It's staying in.
It's all right, Jackie. It's all right. Let's keep it rolling.
What am I doing, bro? What am I dude, before like 5 minutes ago, I was saying, hey, Josh, how you doing, man? Yeah, good. Had a catch up, and then I called you John. What the fuck is going on?
I'll let it slide this time.
Hey,
man. Maybe
it's late.
Too many Voodoo Rangers.
Yeah, little too many of those ones. But dude, what a start to the podcast, man. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy man. It was always precisely this day, this time each week, and I'm like, dude, this guy's locked and loaded. But now we have you. We've secured the bag. So, dude, for the people that are wondering who you are and what your job is and, you know, your history with the scene, tell us where it all began and a little bit about yourself, who you are today.
It's a long story. Let me first say that it's really refreshing. I see you cuss in the opening there. That's really fucking refreshing, Jacko, because I've been on a few of these things. It's like, keep it G, PG at best. So it's really good. And those people that do know me, I can be a bit of a loose cannon, so I like to speak freely. To answer your question, hi, I'm Josh, not John. Josh Inman, go by the gamer tag in Maniac. I've had that very silly nickname since I was 13 years old, so 20 odd years now. I guess for the people in the esports community that would know of me, I was formerly working with ESL Australia, part of the world's largest esports company. I was with them since their inception. Work on esports events since back in 2009 with the now managing director of ESL APJ, Nick Vanzetti, his business partner, JB Hewitt, and a couple of the OGs over at the ESL camp, Damien Cauchi, Brad Baldwin. These are names that not many people know, but should know because they are the founding pillars of esports in Australia as we know it. But been working in esports, since 2009. It's been my full-time job since 2013 or 14. I worked originally in my background. I started back in 2009 doing esports commentary, which I still do to this day. Very passionate about it. But that at the time wasn't paying the bills. So I got into project management for that company when we first started it. From project manager, went to senior project manager to operations manager. And then in my final 12 months, I was general manager of ESL Australia. So if there's a role in esports, including talent, I've probably done it, Jacko.
There we go. Man of many talents. What can't you do, mate? Have you jumped behind the sticks or the keyboard and mouse and gone pro yet, or what? Is that the next step?
Mate, I don't know many people that do what I do this early on if you're any good at the sticks. I've competed formally in three Halo 4v4 events. In my first one, came, I'm pretty sure, third or fourth last. And then that was like 25 teams. And then Oz Halo 09, second last. And then there was a Brisbane Halo Reach event in 2010, which somewhere near last.
Yeah.
I put down the sticks pretty early on, decided to get behind the scenes to start running the show.
Well, at least when people ask you, like, you know, how did you go in these events, you can consistently say with confidence, in the four, the bottom four. Just say in the four.
Okay? Yeah, in the four. I went absolutely dog water. That's how I went.
That's fine. Dude, 2009, I was lacing up my polished shoes to go for my first day of high school.
Yeah,
that's
damn,
insane.
dude.
That's insane. That's insane. You know, taking those good old photos next to the door handle, you know, with your school bag on.
Yep. Know that. Yeah, dude, it feels like a long time ago, and I guess it really is. We're talking 13 years ago, and we know that esports years in Australia double, so it feels like 26 years.
Yep.
It feels like a very long time, and it's insane just to see how far it's come, which is sick. It's why we're here, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool to look back and see where we started.
Yeah, and it's great to, like, for myself, like I haven't been in it as long as you, but I've been in it for long enough to understand most things, but I'm still always learning whenever I sit in on these meetings for business deals or whenever you go and do campaigns and network and just create friends in the scene. You just learn so much, like especially now being going from Kanga with Hayes taught me so much, and then now with Nick at the Chiefs, there's always a learning curve, and I'm sure that I'll probably learn something from you in this podcast that I didn't know beforehand and prior to this. So, but let's go back to, so now you were the operations manager, then the general manager, and now what do you do with yourself, man? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I decided to leave ESL. It was after many years there and rising to the tippity top in Australia, at least. I came to a realization that I just had different priorities in my life. So I'm married now, and I've moved interstate. I'm now residing just north of Brisbane in Queensland, and there was just a lot of big moves. And I guess with many people throughout this fucking pandemic, priorities kind of shifted.
Yeah.
And for the last 10 years, I can say with all sincerity, my life has just been work. It's just been work, and the people at ESL know what this grind is all about. And yeah, when I got to GM, I wanted more flexibility than I guess I was afforded or would come with that role, which is understandable. It's a very structured company, ESL, even though it can be a madhouse at times. So yeah, what I decided to do is just go off on my own. So as of 3 weeks ago, I am an independent contractor. I work for myself as an esports project manager, consultant, and also as a weird left field tangent, I'm doing drone videography as well. So if you need someone to fly some drones for you, Jacko,
yeah,
I can help you out, which is a bit of an eclectic mix, really. Consultant, project manager, and drone video, but whatever pays the bills, and it's stuff that I'm passionate about. But primarily, I'm an independent consultant and project manager.
Well, there we go. All the real estate agent people listening right now, if you guys need those above house views, and then for Josh to scan it out and do whatever he does with the drone.
Kiss pole shot, I tell you.
Yep, he'll get you those shots. Or if you just want to spy on someone, then yeah, call Josh. I'm kidding.
That's the flip phone in the back pocket.
So there's the white drone business, and then there's the dark drone business for the stealth incognito mode stuff. Yeah, fantastic. No, but that's I saw a video about 2 days ago, and it was a director, and I don't know who it is, but he found this 19-year-old that was incredible at their drone racing. I know the
video you're talking about. Vanover is the drone racer you're talking about. And
there we go.
He flew in a couple of films. I forget who. Oh, it was Michael Bay. It was a Michael Bay film. Ambulance. Okay. Ambulance, was it? Is that the one that you saw?
It must have been. Yeah.
There was that, and Red Notice, which was Ryan Reynolds' film, also had some drone videography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was saying, he said, I found this kid, I saw his videos online, I said, I have to have him. He was 19 years old, and I said, you got one shot. The car's coming over the ramp, fly the drone under the ramp, under the car. Okay?
That was Ambulance. Ambulance. You're talking about Ambulance, yep.
There it is right there. Dude, have you would have seen it, but the acrobats that they perform with these drones are the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And these guys take their drones to these abandoned places. Like, it's sketchy as. They look like old school, like paintball places, or they just look haunted.
In the FPV world, Jacko, they're called bandos.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it looks like they're playing Tarkov real life with a drone. Like, it's just, I shit my pants in there, bro. But it is incredible the piloting, I guess you would call it, of these guys. Can you do any of that type of acrobatic stuff, or are you just like up, down, left, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if we want to go down this path, I'll try not to go too deep with you, but I FPV, which is that type of drone flying. So for those, for the uninitiated, FPV, first person view, is when you strap goggles to your head, and you're seeing what the camera sees of the drone. So it's not a DJI, it's not a phone, or that you're just touching buttons and tell it where to go.
Yeah.
Think of like a direct control, like a remote controlled vehicle, and you get to see what the drone sees. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, by the way, Jack. I actually reached out to Lakeside Motorsport Circuit tonight, trying to get out there and film some racing and some drifting and stuff like that. So Yeah, it is exactly that video that you saw is what I'm trying to do. Nowhere near as talented as Vanover, who's a literal world champion drone racer. But
Maybe.
I'd love to do similar stuff, which is what I'm trying to get to. I think it's sick.
Absolutely. It's just a shame that esports is just sitting down. Like, imagine that could have been another thing. You could have made your own job.
Yeah, dude, look, it's rattling around somewhere in here, mixing my production experience, commentating experience, and just putting that all together with my knowledge of the world of FPV drones and racing. I think there's something I can meld together here, because there's no drone racing league in Australia, not one of that level. There are drone races, but there aren't anything of that level, and nothing that's really streamed or put on TV. So if there's any venture capitalists out there that might want to experiment and look into something. Yeah. So I think we might be onto something. But it is genuinely very cool. If any of you have no idea what last thing on FPV, if you know nothing about it, look up a guy on YouTube, Mr. Steele. I think he's one of the best freestyle pilots in the world. And you watch those videos, it was his videos that made me go, I want to fucking do this. And I went and did it. So yeah,
these drones are insanely expensive. But let's backtrack and segue from this FPV talk, and let's go to, you were saying that you were married. Now I saw a while ago. You're gonna have to tell me the exact days. Your missus probably might be over your shoulder, so get this right, man. You got one shot, okay? Okay, Josh, not John. It was a couple years ago from my memory. I might be wrong. It was like Black Ops 4 days, so that's when I'm just guessing. And you had proposed to your now wife at a Call of Duty LAN event. Now,
yes,
run me through that. So you were saying that you met and at a Call of Duty event, and tell me about it.
Yeah, I'll give you the story. That's cute, very cute. I thought you were going a totally different angle, Jacko, and had to slowly let you down gently. But I'm glad you knew all the details. I met my now wife at the first Call of Duty event that I casted, that I did commentary for, which was ACL Sydney 2015. So 2014. Excuse me. ACL Sydney 2014 is where we met. And then we started dating at the beginning of 2015, which coincidentally was the Call of Duty World League that I did commentary at, which was for Advanced Warfare. So we met at a Call of Duty LAN. She was a competitive gamer. She's been a mad gamer ever since. Everything you see behind me, that's hers. Yeah. So this is all my wife, so I got no credit for this. And she works at EB Games, go figure. And yeah, so we were dating for a long time, and I decided I wanted to marry her. So to propose, we had planned a trip to COD Champs for several years. We actually had plane tickets booked in 2016. I'm going to go sad for a second before I go happy. My grandparents passed away in 2016, both of them, within 2 weeks of each other. Oh, wow. And because I had to attend the funerals... Thank you. Because I had to attend the funerals, we had to cancel that trip. And then after 2016, ESL work, esports, blew up, like really, really blew up. And that's when we got our big studio at Auburn, and I just couldn't go. I had no time. So anyway, skip forward a few years, 2019, I decided to propose. We got our trip planned. COD Champs 2019, it was, asked about dates. I'm going to go extra tricky on you, because it was technically August 15th. In the United States, but it was August 16th in Australia, which timed with my mum's birthday, because I was telling her, trying to be cute with her as well. Yeah. But yeah, I actually arranged for Chris Puckett to help me arrange a fake interview. And a big shout out to the MLG team, it would have been at the time, MLG or Esports Engine, probably the same people still today. Yep. Despite me being who I was at ESL and blah, 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 they were real bros. Wow. They got their film crew, although it was a fake interview, they actually filmed everything for me. So fake but not fake. Trish just didn't know what the agenda was. So Chris Puckett just pretended, or at least it was not pretended, it was arranged, picked Trish out of the crowd to do like a crowd interview. Yep. And meanwhile, I snuck up behind her, and then Chris Puckett said something like, the last question actually needs to go to someone else behind you. And there I was on one knee up in the concourse in the arena of COD Champs. So that was insane. That was really insane. And I don't know if Chris Puckett will see this, but thank you again, Chris. It was cringe to say it this way, Jacko, but it was magical, mate. It was really, really nice.
I don't think I don't think it's cringe, man. I think that it's a really I don't know. I guess this might be a bit of a. I can't say it was. I'll get roasted for saying this word, but it's a really nice moment. Okay, I was going to say another word, but it's a really nice moment, man. And I think that you know it's something to be done at COD Champs. Okay, COD Champs, baby. Unfortunately, Optic didn't win. Pretty butthurt about that. You know, E United stuff for you guys. Even 100 Thieves, even. But yeah, that. And I do remember it was last year of CWL before it changed to the CDL. But how was the crowd's reaction after you proposed? Was it as insane as CWL in London or what?
Well, no. So, story to that is that they asked me if I wanted it on the screen and I wanted it for everyone to see. But my wife is a lot shy than I am. We're very yin and yang. I'm extrovert. She's introvert. I talk a lot. She doesn't talk at all. And to be honest, I didn't want to put her through that pressure. So although it was on the concourse, although it was in the arena, no one saw it unless you could directly see us. And we're not like down on the stage. We're up on the concourse.
Yep.
So not many people saw us. But the people that did, screamed and hooted and hollered and cheered. It was nice. I don't know how many, maybe 50 to 100 people saw us, but it was really nice.
That's gorgeous, man. The main thing is that you and your wife enjoyed the special moment, which would have been absolutely dope. Was that in Anaheim or Vegas?
No, that was I think it was Anaheim. I'm trying to remember exactly. I think it was Anaheim, or it might have been downtown LA. No, it wasn't downtown. Must have been Anaheim.
Anaheim. I think COD Champs was always Anaheim. Yeah.
There was some college that we went to. I don't know if it was actually, you know what? I don't even know if it was either, man.
Really?
I'd have to go back. It was as you can imagine, it was a bit of a blur for me.
Yeah. Oh, you would have been absolutely smashing the sauce that night too as well.
Oh, just mate. On the lot babies. I was, and it was a blur because first international trip with the wife. I did all the planning, but everything behind this is going to sound like I'm gassing myself. Sorry. There's a lot of planning to make that happen. There was a lot of planning to make that a Puckett and a video crew and all access passes to COD Champs. It was a bit of an effort. And to get my, I had a cousin came with me under the guise of a double, not like a double date, but we went together as on a trip together. But he was really hiding the ring and being my video man for a Facebook stream so my relatives could watch at home.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on, so I don't even remember what city I was in.
It's okay, man. You don't need to gas yourself too much because the missus probably won't listen to this podcast, okay? So
I don't know. She has a habit of tracking down content I make, so.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Well, you're not making this content. You're just part of it, okay? You're just the FT dot.
True.
No, but I love that, man. It's see, when I proposed to my now fiance, it was back on the 7th of December, and it was actually for my birthday. And she organised everything to go out. And so, mate, I didn't have to worry about... I didn't even know where we were going. All I know is we're going to South Bank in the city somewhere. We're going to a meat and wine co. She got her hair, nails, everything else done. She got a fake tan done, whatever. So all I had to do is rock up with myself and the ring. And it was mint. So it was very low maintenance compared to what you had happened in there. You had to organise and run around like a blue-ass fly, that's for sure. But I respect that. There's no better place to do it than at COD Champs, I reckon, especially being the last one. So mad respect.
Well, yeah. We met at a Call of Duty event. My whole thing I thought it was bringing us stories full circle. We met at a Call of Duty event, proposed at a Call of Duty event. We met at probably one of the world's smallest to the world's biggest. So I thought it was cool. It's a good story to tell anyway.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But look, segueing from that, and I think your wife's name's Trish, isn't it?
Trish, yeah.
I think I played some Blackout with her a fair bit.
You probably would, man. She was very active in the scene at one stage. Yeah, Trish, Blue, Konzi. She plays a lot with Squizzy, formerly played in ANZ CWL.
Yep.
She plays with all those guys. So.
No, I love that. Large people there. Large people. But I want to go back. I want to backtrack a little bit just to the
Sure.
ESL. So, how did ESL all begin? Did it start back in 2009 when you first joined the company, or did it start a bit earlier was it Nick Vanzetti that was the founder?
Yeah. So it's a long story that I'll do my best to abridge for the format of your show.
Take your time.
So I was a wannabe Halo 3 competitor. I was playing online one night in early 2009, and I came across a couple of players in matchmaking, and I spanked them. And they reached out to me after the game, and they happened to be Nick Vanzetti and his brother Ben, or he goes by the tag Benjina. So Ben and Nick reached out to me, and they asked if I wanted to team with them. I was looking for a team at the time, so I thought, why not? At this time, I didn't know how famous Mr. Nick Vanzetti was. Oh, he's a Halo 1 champion, formerly of Hack. Oh, man, let him get a few beers into him, Jacko, and let him tell his story of the Halo 1 days. But there was, jokes aside, there was a history that at the time I was not aware of.
Yep.
So I started playing with Nick, and then what happened? Fast forward towards the end of 2009, and there was an event called Oz Halo. So Oz Halo, this organization, this event was going to be run by Ads. So Ads of BBR fame. He's currently one of the best players we've got. Just did an interview with him actually to go for Kansas. But back then he was hot off his trip to Germany for WCG 2008, and he was trying to keep Halo alive. So he did this event 2009. Long story short, one thing led to another, and Nick Vanzetti got involved because Nick had aspirations to run events as well. And Nick at the time had no LAN experience that I know of, or running events. He was just passionate about it, and he did come from a TV background. I think he worked in like commercials and stuff like that on sets. Again, it's a story for him to sell. But through this, Nick got involved with organising the event. And by me being proxy of being his teammate, I got involved as well. And it wasn't anything major. It was, help set up tables and chairs and blah, 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 all the little things. And we did that event. It was a roaring success. And the way I got involved was saying at that time that, yes, we want to keep doing these events. This is cool. It's fun. I love LAN events. And also what happened that event is that we were doing a live stream, and back then it was just one crappy old like camcorder style camera. It might have even been a webcam just pointed at the stage. We decided that there needed to be some commentary because there was a big enough crowd. There was like 50 to 100 people, probably more actually. And I didn't want to at first. I was being shy, which is uncharacteristic for me, but I didn't want to. I have these big legends in my head at that time, no other than Chris Bucket, who I heard a lot. I was like, I can't do that. Then someone else got on the mic. I'm not going to say who it was. Someone else got on the mic. And I thought to myself, man, I could really do better than this. So I asked Nick, I said, I'll jump up on the stage. and I did. And I got a lot. I don't know if people were just being nice or because no one did it in Australia at the time outside of the Gamester guys. Credit to them. But for Halo, not really. People liked it. So I was addicted to that. I did debating as a nerd at school. I love public speaking.
Loser.
And I got a trophy for it out there somewhere.
Have a look at you, hey?
Yeah, so I love talking shit, Jacko. Why do you think I'm here?
Yeah.
I fell in love with commentary, and what happened from then on is that each event followed. Nick took Oz Halo, combined it with ACL, which was created by Jason Bourne, Pyrotech, and created the ACL Pro circuit, which became what we became infamous for back in those early 2010s, running those events. So I did commentary and I helped Nick. And then to fast forward this story, we did ACL events just out of passion. We loved esports. We all had a dream to try and do it as our job. But back then, when we first started, not only were we not getting paid, we were paying to do the work. We fly ourselves around or drive most likely. We racked up many Ks. And it wasn't until Nick and his new at the time business partner, JB, decided to try and make a business together that they created the business side, which was under a new name, Vim Media and Events. So that was the business. Vim was the business. ACL was the fun. Vim kind of helped fund ACL. And then we got our big break. we had one big break that really got us going. So first of all, credit to a gentleman called Kumar Mannix, who is still around in the scene. Not so much in esports, but he's a head honcho these days, working with Xbox globally on some of their massive events. But he helped us with a lot of now relatively small gigs back then, but he got us started. And then the big break came when we hosted the WCS 2012, the StarCraft event in Sydney, where we had Tastosis over, and that was massive. And we got that break by PJ at Blizzard, and thankfully PJ's still at Blizzard. Shout out to you, PJ, if you see this. He gave us a break which is amazing looking back on it. Here's this group of guys running a business out of a house. There was like 6 of us living together in a house in Sydney. We all just moved together.
Yeah.
And they gave us a relatively big contract to run a global event. It was wild, and that was the break we needed, and things snowballed from there.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. It
You
all
got Jacko?
started. Sorry. I just want to interrupt. It all started. It sounds so similar to like how Optic began. You know, like looking back at it, like 60-50, the Scuff House and stuff. Everyone's living together, bunkered together. Except they were playing like pro games. You guys were setting everything up and stuff, and you guys were like the ground crew. You know, getting in there, getting dirty. You know, getting it all done and stuff. And yeah, it gets. But like, first question is, how old were you guys when you're doing this? And the second question, what did your parents think about this when you guys were doing this and operating at like a loss? Like, how do you guys explain that to your parents?
So we were all, I mean, compared to, you know, your average, what's an average gamer? I can't believe I was about to say average gamer.
Average gamer is actually 35.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I was going to change what I said I held myself up. The stereotypical, you know, teen or whatever.
16,
we were
18.
all older than that.
Yeah.
I'm an 89 kid, so I was 20 years old for that first event. And yeah, Nick is a couple of years older than me. JB's a year or two older than him. So we're all very late teens to early to mid 20s when we started.
Yeah.
There were younger people that joined us. That first house when we moved together, we had the Halo player known as Killself. He was 20 or 21. We had Brett, who would have been 17 or 18. Might have been 18, 19. There was a few others. But then we had a lot of the volunteers at the time that helped us as well. But if you're talking about that core crew that started it, yeah, late teens, early 20s is about where it started. Yeah, and to answer the second part of your question, what did parents think? Yep. Even though I was a grown-ass man, it was very difficult to explain to my family what I was doing. I had the pleasure, Jacko, at the time of living in Tamworth, New South Wales. For those of you who don't know, that's 3 hours inland from Coffs Harbour. It's it's famous for being the country music capital of Australia. So my family from Tamworth, trying to tell them that I was doing esports, it was a fun conversation. But they came around eventually when they realised that was my full-time job.
It would have been a good moment to be a fly on the wall, that's for sure. Hearing in on that. Good. You do what? You sound what? You know how ridiculous that sounds, Joshua? Yeah, I can imagine that.
I just had a deja vu when you were saying that.
Yeah, I just feel like that's exactly how it would go. Like everyone that I get on this podcast that is a professional gamer, specifically, I always ask them, like, what are your parents' thoughts? And nowadays it seems to be a little bit mixed. So a lot of guys are like, yeah, look, you know, my parents were like, oh, this isn't the way that you're supposed to be doing, like, to start with. But then they see the money and the things come through if the game is successful. And they win a couple of things or they get flown here and there. And then they're like, wow, okay, it might mean something. But then there's other people where they're like, yeah, they're supportive. They don't care as long as I'm happy. Yeah. Then there's others where they're just like, no. And they just have to move out of home and just do it. And I don't know, they might come around one day. So there's a few different variations, but obviously everyone's parents just want the best for them moving forward.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to dread talking to parents, but after countless events and PAXs and IEMs and Mios and events that we do, I come to really enjoy it because I would say, and I mean this without being hyperbolic, I reckon 9 out of 10 parents who had questions or were a bit, weary went away from our conversations at least more positive. And the reason I was wary early on is because I didn't really know how to speak to it. I didn't have the stats, I didn't have the experience, and I didn't know what I was trying to explain to them. But later on, it became a lot easier. And it's a very simple analogy for me. Some people don't like this analogy, but I think it's just perfect. So when it comes to being a pro gamer, I'm not talking about content creation. I'm talking about being a pro gamer. It's very simple. It's if your child, because a parent will ask me, can my child, here are the questions I get, Jacko. Can my child make money from this? Is it actually a career? Or my son or daughter says that if they play 40 hours a week, they'll be a pro and earn money, and therefore I should let them stay up all night. What should I do? Or what can I do?
Yeah.
Okay. My answer is there's a couple of ways to answer this, but the primary one is if your child was instead playing soccer, they are saying that they want to play in the A-League. That is what they're telling you by saying that they want to dedicate all their time. Now, it is really, really hard to get into the A-League. It is super hard. It takes dedication, it takes time. And a lot of people, the vast majority who try, are going to fail. Now, the difference is it goes from that understanding of the difficulty and what the odds are, I guess, to the health challenges or I guess concerns that come with sport versus gaming, right? And I don't think, unless you want me to, I'm not really going to dive into it now. I can already feel this is going to go over time. I just spoke to, of course, all of the social positives that come from gaming, and I spoke to them about how, you know, just as I agree, I don't think that 40 hours a week for a 10-year-old is good for gaming, but nor would I say 40 hours a week of playing anything is probably healthy. Spend 40 hours on a tennis court a week and see how your child feels. Yep. Now, obviously, I'm being facetious, but it is, I think there are strong parallels between both, and parents often walk away more positive, and when they can see that, and especially when they come to events, Jacko, and they see, oh, all these people are just, they're sociable creatures and they're happy and they're not just the stereotype basement dweller. Like it's really cool to be able to talk to parents. And it's become one of the things I love in this industry, actually.
You hear a lot of different stories going to these events, and the last Melbourne Esports Open, it was ran on the Saturday, Sunday, and it was the Father's Day on the Sunday. It was great to see a lot of the young lads with or girls with their dads down there just jumping on the VRs or the sim racing and whatnot, and just showing them what it's all about. You know, having a bit of fun with their dad. Like a lot of dads, the old school dads, like they've grown up with like Nintendo 64 and like the old school Donkey Kong where it's throwing the barrels off the top and shit like that. So any of this stuff, when they get their hands on it, they're like, "Fuck, this is sick as," you know, and so they just love it. So like, majority of dads are just big kids, you know. And I myself know that I'll be a big kid when I'm a dad and all that type of stuff, and I'm sure you will be as well. And it's just in us, you know. It's just in us to have a good time and whatnot. The other thing of the scale, though, when it tips the other way, is that you've really got to be concerned about some kids that don't get that social exposure that kind of keeps them reserved and unwell, and their diet's not good because of their sedentary behavior, and you've really got to stay on top of that and have that, like, with everything, with food, friends, family, everything. You got to have that happy balance, the happy medium of, you know, enough and then not enough and whatnot, because otherwise then you can really get down. You know, there's a lot of depression going around right now. A lot of people are having like these mental issues and stuff, and they get put in a rut because they're like not getting out, not getting enough vitamin D on their skin. They're not getting enough exercise and the blood flowing and releasing those endorphins to feel good about themselves, you know. So there's that other negative part, but it just depends on how the conversation goes with the parents and whatnot. It's just, but I think that everyone knows that, and it doesn't really need to be discussed too much. But I think that it's always about the parents want to let people know from the discussions, and they just want that little bit of an extra gentle push of, I know, that positivity.
Yeah, and I think it's just having honest and candid conversations with them as well. Like, I'm not going to sit here, Jacko, and say that, let's just say your child has 2 hours of recreation on a weekend, and you're trying to say that, not you, the royal you, you're trying to say that 2 hours of gaming is going to be better for the child than 2 hours of soccer. I'm not going to make that argument because I would say no. If you're talking about physical health, they should probably go and kick that ball around. I would say that having both is probably good. I would say that maybe keeping their social life running over the weekend with friends at school by playing video games or expanding what they do or developing hand-eye coordination or cognition or many of the challenges mentally that come. I don't mean mental health challenges. I mean challenges to invoke your brain and learning that come through video games. I think they're unique as well. But no, man, no one's going to sit here and say that physically gaming's better. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the advances coming out in VR and movement, I've played some pretty sick stuff, some sick VR lately that makes you get the breath going and bust a sweat, especially if you play Beat Saber after a couple of beers for 45 minutes, which I may or may not have done recently. So.
Jesus, that's a bit dangerous. Might be chundering up, keeping the bucket close by, that's for sure. I saw some really big guy. Okay, I'm talking like super like obese guy, but he was like, I think that for the future, when these things become more affordable and cheaper, it would be a really good tool to use in the hospital system to get people to work out without them even knowing about it. This guy was morbidly obese. He was huge, right? But he was playing this game, and it's an indie game. I haven't seen it since, but he was this bartender. And he was serving up, he had to serve cocktails and then shoot the people coming in the bar at the same time.
No, okay.
So
I feel like I'd like that game.
It looked like the coolest game ever. There was people like sitting at the bar casually wanting drinks. Like it was like a neon lights game. People sitting casually at the drink. You know, I just want a pina colada. So you're serving up pina colada, then at the same time he's like mixing it, shaking, and then shooting people coming through like the bad guys coming through the doorway. And he was just like full ducking and you know, everything's going everywhere and he's just having a great time. It was just like, it is the coolest thing ever. Although I would never have put the headset on after him because it looked sweaty as, man. It was dripping.
Yeah, that might have been a challenge afterwards. Maybe a few wet wipes might have been the trick there. But no, I think it's really cool. And what you said about its use for, hey, morbidly obese or some other thing that's stopping people from being active, it can be really helpful. If you've seen part of the recovery for some people who are morbidly obese, is just arm movements. Like that's how they start. If they can't move, that's how they start. And even if you don't want to go that angle, there's the angle of people who are incapable of moving for one reason or another, either through disability or handicap or some other thing, where having those technologies are really good. So, man, I mean, you and I, it's probably a little bit unfair us talking the positives of gaming and, you know, VR and the metaverse and stuff like that. But I like the fact that you don't need to kind of go for shitty arguments or reasons. Like there are very genuine and sincere reasons why gaming is awesome and only getting better for everyone.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the metaverse. We got to jump into that a little bit. Okay. I don't mind too much about time. Well, we can extend it. We can go by feedback.
Okay.
If you guys,
I feel special.
If you guys are listening right now, make sure to comment. Let me know. Tweet at me. Whatever. Or if on the YouTube video at Jacko G Freak, then let us know if you guys like the longer form than 45 minutes or the shorter form at the 35 to 45. But the metaverse. What are your thoughts about the metaverse moving forward? What are your visions for it?
Oh, I don't know if I'm going to go in reverse order. I don't know really my visions for it. I haven't put a lot of thought into too much about the future, but I mean, thoughts of it, I think it's inevitable. I don't want to end up like the little fat people from Wall-E,
yep,
who are just glued to their screens and you know they kind of just hover everywhere. I'm a bit worried about that kind of future. But speaking of the metaverse, I think it's inevitable. So just towards the end of last year, ESL moved towards having VR meetings, and to this day that's continued. And although it's still more of this is my own personal opinion, sorry JB if you hear this, it's a bit of a gimmick. There is something to it, having spatial audio and moving your head around, and you know, the first couple of minutes you're like, oh, this is fun and silly, we're in VR, but you get into it, and having that digital whiteboard and being able to see things in 3D
wait, you're
space.
genuinely sitting in a VR meeting? I thought you meant like a Zoom meeting.
No.
So you guys all have
a VR meeting. We all have Oculus headsets, and we have VR meetings. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, ESL. What is going on over there, man? Everyone has Oculus Rifts. This is ridiculous. Just have a meeting. This is the funniest. I got to put my hand up for that. I'm gonna clip that, send to my current business right now, and get that happening.
Listen, man. I mean, there are criticisms of ESL that I could have, but one of the best things is that those kind of things happen frequently, where they do try to look after people, innovate, and do new things. And that was the co-MD, JB Hewitt, who heads up the Australian operations now. He decided to send. There was a small batch as a test batch, and now I'm pretty sure almost everyone. If you've been hired for longer than 6 months, you've probably got an Oculus headset there, and join the meetings in Oculus VR. Not all of them. There's one dedicated meeting a week that they'll use it. But outside of that, they're used as well. So yeah, man, it's really, really cool. But anyway, to continue what I was saying, I think it's inevitable. And going back, what our experiences were like, not just in gaming, but in technology and meetings. A Zoom meeting didn't exist 10, 20 years ago. I think it's inevitable. The technology is going that way. And if the technology is going that way, the technology will be used. And I tell you what, if Elon Musk is around for much longer, I'm sure he'll be, and I hope he's going to be around for many, many years to come. He's going to be inventing some crazy shit, I'm sure. I envision him, if he ever takes over Twitter, which would be cool, and if he takes over or gets involved with Facebook and Meta. Yeah. I mean, just thinking of what minds like that could do, I think it's wild. And I think there will be some kind of future where we live at least part of our lives in a completely virtual world. The metaverse, as people are calling it.
Oh, well, right now we're living a simulation, then we'll go into a simulation of a simulation. There we go.
How many levels deep do we go, Jacko?
We need some more bourbons for that. But that don't even get me started about the pyramids. That shit just still trips me out, man. How do you pull a big stone up more than a 10-degree angle? Those ramps would still be there. There's no way that was built by humans.
Ingenuity.
What are your thoughts on the pyramids? Just at a random segue.
I'm prone to loving a good conspiracy theory. I don't know. I mean, I've watched some crazy documentaries about Egypt and the pyramids, and I would say it's very interesting that that people thousands of years ago could build such things. I don't know if they were not human, but they could. Who knows, Jacko? Something we'll have to dive into. Mate, I can't wait for the UFO special, the Jacko G.
Yeah, I need to get the biggest conspiracy theorists out there. I need to even a crew.
Put me
on
the list.
I'll put a crew of people or something. Like I'll get like 4 people. Get like a full guest on a line. Everyone's gonna be yelling and talking over each other, like splattering spit everywhere. That'll be like a 3-hour episode.
Hell yeah! It's
like an hour per person that we've got on the podcast.
I'm gonna do my best Alex Jones cosplay.
There we go. That's how he is, man. It's a pisser, bro. He's so passionate. Yeah, those pyramids, bro. They it doesn't keep me up at night, but it kind of does at the same time. But yeah, back to what the fuck?
To put the chemicals in the water and turn the frogs gay. Alex Jones for you.
Fucking Alex Jones, bro. He was right with a couple of things.
Oh man,
from what
we really don't want to go down this path. We need to get off.
we got to get off that shit. We got to get off that. But what were we talking about? Metaverse. Oh, that's right. Yeah, crypto. In other news, I put a little bit of cash in crypto. Not too much. Lost $100.
Hell yeah!
On the space of 2 months. Yep, something to brag about. Love that. But that's crypto for you. Any crypto
True
wizards?
Story. I saw a car today with the number plate HODL it. So it's funny we're talking about crypto, and I saw that today. Wasn't you, was it?
No. Was it Commodore? No.
No.
Okay. HODL it. What the fuck's HODL it?
What? You're talking about crypto and matter, and you know what HODL it is?
What is HODL?
Hold, like hold. Hold is HODL. Hold on to your crypto. If it's crashing or going down, HODL. Always HODL.
I'm fairly new to crypto.
You should hang your head in shame, Jacko.
I'm fairly new to crypto, okay? Get off my ass.
Yeah, well, you lost $100, so you're experienced as many out there.
Yeah, but I'm in it for the long term. That was my goal. I said to the guy that is a wizard at it, I'm like,
so
look, man.
You're HODLing it.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I don't give a shit if it goes up and down. Like, I will withdraw after 10 years.
Nice. Good plan.
That's what I said to him. I'm like, I'll give
You
it
know a
10
better
years.
plan? Don't withdraw at all and just use it when it becomes currency.
Well, there we go. That's the other plan as well. Okay. There we go. Have you got crypto yourself? If you don't mind me asking.
I have some. Not amazing amounts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough, man.
I work in esports, not amazing amounts. But I think most people I know who work in esports are in crypto one way or another.
They probably asked for their wage to be paid via crypto, like one of those NRL players did, I think. NFL.
Yeah.
But then I think it tanked. I think it tanked after he asked for his shit to be paid in that. Did you hear about that?
I heard of I think it was an NFL player asking to be paid in crypto.
Yep.
And obviously I know it's tanked, but I didn't really follow the story.
Yeah, it tanked. It tanked pretty bad, and like people were like, "Oh, he's getting like as much as what my mum and dad get like on their shitty school teacher job." I'm like, well, the other half of his wage is totally genuine USD, so relax, man.
Yeah.
But what was the biggest event money-wise that you've ever casted or hosted? Like
Cast
prize
or
pool?
host?
Yeah. If you've been in charge of it, like with ESL, either running the back stuff of it, the backbone, or being on the front end of it, being casting and production.
Well, for casting and commentary, it probably would have been the Call of Duty World League event 2015, because that was $1 million plus event.
Yep.
I've also done.
Was that here
I
in
haven't
Crown?
done. Was it Crown?
Yeah.
Yep. So I was a Crown, did the CWL event in Crown. So that was the Crown Invitational of 55k, which was pretty cool. We had Optic and Millennium over, so that was sick.
Millennium.
Millennium. You don't remember Millennium? Millennium
No.
were yeah.
I'm just Green Wall.
Best in Europe at the time. So they were cool.
Okay.
So that's probably casting, and I've done I've done the Sony Asia champs and stuff like that, but they weren't millions. It was like 50k and stuff, so that was cool. So that's casting, and then behind the scenes, behind the scenes would have been the Intel Extreme Masters. We're talking about millions of dollars. So on the line overall, and the value of that event.
Yep.
Because obviously you've got the Intel Grand Slam, $1 million there, which was on the line. So you could consider that. Probably wasn't exactly money given away at that event, but that was on the line. And it is, by many metrics, the biggest event that's ever been run in Australia for esports. So, Kudos Bank Arena, that crowd roaring, and just making that event. Yeah, dude, that was sick. Definitely one of the highlights of my career for sure. So
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to, man. DreamHack this year. More than
dude,
PAX. I love Melbourne Esports Open because I was looked after a lot. Like you guys, I don't know, it was Joel Colley, and I met Ben for the first time as well, like out of character, because before I start going full character, I meet people out of character first before, to get the, and then they understand when it all happens. They're like, okay, well Anyway, but yeah, like the full underground car parking situation, like my own like change room and stuff. It was pretty cool. I was like, holy shit, man. But DreamHack, I'm looking forward to that, man. That's going to be sick.
Yeah. So although I resigned and left ESL, my first client as an independent contractor is ESL, and I'm actually running operations for DreamHack.
Yeah.
So I'm still working very closely with the same team.
Okay.
So you've got the senior project manager special events, which is Brad, who hates FaceTime. So Brad will hate me saying his name, Brad Baldwin. Yes, Brad Baldwin. You can look him up. He's amazing. He hates it. Brad Baldwin.
Yep.
Go look him up. Sorry, Jack. He's a champ, and he by the way is the project manager for all 3 IEMs plus 2 Melbourne Esports Opens. Ooh. People should know more of him. Anyway, so I work hand in hand with him, and I'll be running operations for DreamHack. And let me tell you, sir, that DreamHack is going to be fucking sick, because I reckon, dude, people don't know what's coming. There's only 5 or 10% of what we've got going on announced. And it's just going to be everyone who went to me who loved it. It's going to be that on fucking steroids. Like, it's going to be wild. It's fucking DreamHack. It's going to be sick. So very, very stoked to be working on that.
So
and I can't wait for it.
Sick as in, last time I got VIP parking with the VF Series 2 SSV Redline Wagon in the basement. Do I get that again?
I love that.
Do I get that again? Surely.
Well, just because I respect the vehicle, Jacko, I might have to try and help you out with something.
Thank you very much. You've heard it here first. It's been recorded on the 21st of April.
Don't believe anything on the internet, kids.
Believe it. Okay. But you can play with me here, Josh. Okay.
Mm.
What can we expect at the DreamHack this year? What can we expect at Melbourne's DreamHack?
Oh, man. See, this is where I get in trouble. I got to see what's public or not. Well, look, I tell you what. You already know there's going to be some sick AF CS content, which everyone loves. You know that there's going to be the first major Halo LAN event taking place, an open LAN event, mind you. You already know that the League of Legends Split 2 finals will be held there for the LCO, which is going to be bananas. And let's just say that there are a lot of activities that come with DreamHack that will be coming to Melbourne as well. And there is going to be one hell of a LAN party as well. So on top of that, there's going to be some special guests, a lot of partners that are already working with DreamHack you'll be seeing in Melbourne. And I think that for the inquisitive enough out there is probably enough, to be honest, because you'll put two and two together very quickly. But it's going to be awesome. The scale of DreamHack alone is bananas. We're still talking about Rod Laver Arena, Margaret Court Arena, the brand new centerpiece, the function center that they built, two levels, halls. We're talking expo. We're talking big community spaces.
All of it.
FGC. We're talking indie games. We're talking cosplay. We're talking everything, man.
I am quite firm in the pants of this. Hearing this is fantastic.
As my good friend Miles would say, DreamHack often makes me go from 6 to midnight. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I would love to get him on the podcast. He has a cool story. He has a real cool story. Ben told part of it when he was on for episode 2. But yeah, Miles is a cool guy. Never wanted to get into Call of Duty, and now he's in Call of Duty. How about that now?
He's my brother from another mother. I've got an unashamed man crush on Miles, and he knows it. But no, he's just a nice, genuine guy, and I'm so stoked that he's blown up. And you don't really see it as much in Australia, but that dude has blown up. He's like pretty much the face of the CDL now, and he's won Esports Broadcaster of the Year, at the Esports Awards. Not any crappy bullshit esports, like the Esports Awards. So absolutely stoked for him. And yeah, man, maybe I'll give him a nudge for you, mate. See if you can get him on the podcast.
Might have to nudge him in there. If you ever need a live event podcast like something like this, at DreamHack.
I'd love to set you up a booth. I'd love to set you up a booth at DreamHack, Jacko. Maybe we could talk.
Let me know. We can get a guest on live podcast. Could be the very first. I'll save it for that event. If it happens, I'll save the very first and possibly only live podcast at the event.
Oof. There we go.
There we go. Okay, unless it happens then the year after, and we just keep going we just keep going from there. Live podcast. You've heard it here first.
That idea.
Origin story. We could save a number. We won't be at 100 by that time. We'll be at 50. We'll be at 50 by then.
Maybe that's 50.
Could do a 50 bomb. But look, we're gonna stop teasing people, dangling on the carrot. Let's get into the juicy topic. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Vultures in the space. What does that mean? What are you talking about?
Vultures in the space. So we talked about this obviously prior to the podcast firing up. It's something that just bothers me. We talked about all the positives of gaming and esports, and I think that what's a vulture do? They kind of just hang around, they scavenge, they pick the bones, and I think that there are. It feels like talking about this is one of those what grinds my gears segments,
Yeah.
So, and it's also difficult because, people who complain or rant about these kinds of people I'm describing are perceived as gatekeepers or elitists or something like that. And, ESL's been hit with that tag. I've been hit with that tag, and I understand it. My counter is that I think there are people that have earned their stripes, and I think there are people that have not. And I think we're kind of plagued in Australia at the moment by people who have not earned their stripes and are claiming to be army generals in the world of esports. It's very frustrating as someone who I like to speak my mind. I often don't, for courtesy and professionalism. I've broken some of my shackles off. But
I'm the exact same as you, man. I've had to learn how to bring it in a little bit. But continue.
I need to try and break more off. But yeah, I guess just to make this as a topic, there are a lot of people in Australia who claim to be experts or have some kind of clout in esports, and they just don't. They have really smooth talking voices, or sometimes not. And they're able to say, "Hey, I've been around the scene for several years, but they haven't actually done anything." And as someone who has not the most, but who has done a lot, it's very frustrating. And I just, even if not just for me getting salty, those people, it's disappointing to see these people getting traction with big names and partners, or they're seen to be the leading voices in the space, and they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. And to be honest, outside of just bugging someone like me, there's tangible negative outcomes that often occur. I have firsthand heard from several occasions of a brand, be it endemic or non-endemic to the space, be burnt by an experience they had by either a consultant or a company that claimed they knew how to run esports events or consult on esports, and then have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So yeah, as someone who's worked in esports for over 10 years, it's just really frustrating. And when I talk to colleagues or even just people in the industry overseas, it's seen everywhere, but I think just it seems to be the highest concentration in Australia. And I think that there's a reason for that. It's because, as we always say, esports in Australia is a few years behind everywhere else. It's still booming everywhere, but particularly in Australia, we're still on the up and up. And people are just trying to catch on. You had the early adopters, and you had the people who kind of filled in, and the people who were passionate about it. And then when it started to turn a buck, and when you started to, there's been shows on Fox Sports, there's been IEMs and big events. Let's not use an ESO one, PAX and stuff like this. There's been big events, and now it gets the attention, and that's where you get. Let's take like a mainstream ad agency or a marketing agency that comes in and tries to say that, oh yeah, we know esports. Yeah, we've heard of what's his name, Laserbeam. Yeah, we know esports. Yeah, something like that, and it's just it makes my blood boil. So I just think that Australia has a lot of people pretending, and I think it's going to damage the scene, and there is already damage done. Just how far it goes, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Deadwood's sorted out in the future, or ASAP. Really, I know that the cockroach always comes crawling to the top. What do they call it? It's an expression used when they froth milk. The cream always comes to the top, isn't it, or something like that?
You stop that by saying the cockroach.
I said a cockroach.
But I don't think that's a good.
You know what?
That
though?
works.
It works, and I confidently said it. Okay, so we're
if there's a cockroach in the cream, it's going to come to the top.
That's right, because it needs to breathe. So, and then you're going to squish it with or like shoot it with the guns that shoot the salt, the bug assault. Yeah, one of those.
I'm gonna run with your horrible analogy, Jacko. I'm gonna say.
That's what makes me
sure, you got a roach in the cream or in the milk, but the industry is parched and they are drinking that shit up. Like, they can't stop.
Yeah.
So that's what I see as the problem. I don't really know what the solution is. I think calling it out more is something that needs to be done. So here's something I'll touch on with you, Jacko. And this is, I need to stress at this point. I already told you my history, but I will say this as a preface. I'm not affiliated with anyone anymore. I'm not employed by anyone. My time with Company X is over. So my thoughts are my own. Whether it gets me in trouble or not is that's on me. I can tell you that there's a lot of pressure, and everyone faces this pressure just on social media to restrict themselves. Everyone has a certain demeanor. I believe everyone has their real selves and the social media selves. I mean, come on, who doesn't stand and get a good bathroom selfie?
For sure.
But I felt, as someone who was fairly senior in a very well-known esports company, and someone who has a social media presence, and someone who is even does talent work, you can't call out bad actors in case you've got to work with them or somehow be affiliated with them. And I would be lying if I said that I actually had an experience like that, which, before you ask, I will not dive into, unfortunately.
No, that's okay.
But it was part of the reason that I left ESL, and I think that we need to call it out more. I think people just need to excuse the gender-based profanities. They just need to get the balls to call it out, because as someone who's seen it for 10 plus years, I'm sick to fucking death of it, Jacko. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of predatory behaviors, like certain teams signing up 14 players with really crazy contracts that they can't get out of.
Yep.
I'm sick of monopolies and duopolies of companies who just have a vice grip on certain activities in Australia. And I'm sorry for speaking in code, but the people who know this know what I'm talking about.
Hey, they'll be sinking in their seats. They'll be sinking. They'll be doing this.
There's going to be a time. I feel like, I've just written my new memoir, Jacko. Comes out, it's released next week.
Yeah.
There's going to come a time where I believe that those people will be exposed. And thankfully, some of them have already been exposed. I will defer you to a certain live stream I saw calling out a certain team for certain practices that weren't moral, weren't professional. And that's one of, not many, several that I know of. And I still work. Hey, I'm trying to be an independent esport consultant and project manager. And I'm sure, if not this, there will be something I say that stops people working with me. But at least I can. Sorry, I'm just getting all righteous all of a sudden. At least I can hold my head high. That I said no to those things.
Yeah.
And I will continue to do so. And if those people aren't called out by others very soon, fuck it, I'll do the calling out, because it needs to. And it goes back to the vulture thing. It goes back to the bad actors. And I'm really sick of kids, literally, being taken advantage of. And that's what it is in the end. And people putting this rose-tinted view over really nefarious business practices. But, sorry, there's a lot of code there, Jacko, but I'm sure you appreciate it.
No, I understand a lot of the code. A lot of people listening right now won't understand the code, and that's okay. But I think that what we take from that is that, everyone listening right now, is that Josh, like myself, is very passionate, obviously has more experience than I do, but I think that sometimes you just want to let it out. Sometimes you can't, though, because it might damage your own career moving forward. But I think that the shit, we've always got to there's always going to be shit. There's always going to be leeches. There's always going to be vultures. There's always going to be all that type of stuff in the scene. And I think that with the infancy that's happening in Australian esports, Australian, New Zealand, Asia Pacific, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of people that don't know what to do, and there's a lot of people that think that they know what to do, and there's a lot of people that, because they need to know what to do fast, they go to these people and get this wrong information because they're desperate, and so that they think that if one thing out of their 10 things that this wrong source gives them comes true, they're like, oh, you're a genius. So then they get crowned like a genius in the space, and they get given these chances, but then eventually they end up digging themselves a hole because their knowledge gets outweighed by the actual facts.
Yep.
And issues happen, and that's when relationships get torn.
Exactly. Can I make one final comment though, to somewhat balance out my little rant there? Conversely to everything I just said, not so much about the bad actors, but about the vultures and like leeches and stuff, I actually have something to say in their defense, which is the people that are more established, that do have experience, that have run a lot of events. I understand that they're trying to run a business and they have IP that they need to protect, which makes sense. Any business does. I still think we're far too protective. We're too protective. There is enough to go around. We can work together. There are certain collabs happening right now in the esports space. So again, I don't think it's appropriate to name, but there are certain collabs happening that are very, very exciting and look to be very prosperous. And I think that certain attitudes around protectionism is really bad. Listen, guys, everyone knows how to use fucking vMix now. Everyone knows how to use OBS. Everyone knows how to run a stream. We all know how to do it. Yes, there are certain things that are far beyond that. We can do better. And maybe I'm going from my cynical side to my far too optimistic side, Jacko, but just to balance that out, because it's a genuine feeling that we don't have to be so defensive all the time. We all want the same thing. I think you could still protect your keep whilst saying to someone, here's a dumb example. Instead of seeing someone doing something dumb when they've either you know them or at least it's amicable, maybe say, listen, man, I'm not going to tell you how to do it because I'd rather you hire me or my company, but you don't want to do that for XYZ, or that's not the right move for XYZ. Because I'm guilty of this. There are many times, in fact, that I could have done that, but for one reason or another, I didn't or couldn't more often. I just wanted to say that to balance that out, because it's not just people trying, because I understand people trying to make a buck. I get it.
Yep.
But yeah, people also don't have to be so defensive, I think.
Yeah. I think that the other thing as well is that depending where we're talking, like if we're talking broadly or not, people that are behind the scenes or on the front scenes, like streamers and stuff, that a lot of people don't want to do collaborations anymore. And there's a big issue that personally I find I really don't give a shit anymore. But with streaming, for myself, like I know that I've got a job to fall back on. That's my income. This is just the side thing. A lot of people take this job, this side hobby as their job, which you've got to treat things, you know, you train the way you play and all that type of stuff. And I get that. And I go hard as well in the paint. But they kind of let that like friendship and the drive of like, you're going to steal my viewers or you're going to steal my job opportunity get in the way of the fact of just enjoying the thing. And that's something that people have to understand, that I'm not there to steal your viewers. I'm just there to vibe out with you, bro. Like I would love to have a squad of streamers that would want to play and hang out. I don't give a shit how many viewers you have. As long as we clicked and you're a good player, then we're going to get along, you know? So it just goes like that, you know?
I'm not a streamer, or at least definitely not a consistent one. I will, just to your point, I think that it's okay. Everything you said, I agree with, Jericho. I think that there's something to be said about an honest acknowledgement about what each people are doing, because just as you said, you just want to vibe out or whatever. Obviously, there's a part, either consciously or unconsciously, but there's a part in your mind somewhere that's like, hey, I'm probably going to get more exposure from this. More people are going to see me because I'm playing with a bigger streamer. We're streaming together. But it's not just a one-way street. There's a lot to be said about a big streamer who's humble enough to bring on small streamers or unknown people or whoever else. I love that. Like, genuinely. I love content creators, because in my industry, in our industry, Jacko, but in my experience, more accurately, working with some of the biggest of big streamers, I mean, world class. Dude, Jesus, they smell their own farts too often. Holy shit. Dude, it's insane. And I get it. I do get it, because, you know, let's say you want them to do something for, want them to do something for an afternoon. Hey, that's whatever, $20,000, $50,000 I could have made off that one stream, because that is the kind of money they make.
Yeah.
I get it. But one, if that's true, then holy shit, you've got enough money. Can you chill out and help us with this charity thing or whatever it may be? Or two, your audience probably likes that being humble and working with a smaller creator or something. I know I would love that. I follow many big streamers, and if they were to play with someone unknown, that's really cool. Now, probably 9 times out of 10, if they're really, really small and they're probably amateur, then they're probably pretty shit. All right, fine, but just play with them a bit and then go on. And I'm not saying do like this as a charity thing. You got to do a set schedule.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, man. Like, I just think it's getting a bit much, and working with some big streamers, they are very arrogant.
Yeah.
They can be.
I personally have had experience with working with companies that had the opportunity to go with other big streamers. Don't want to pump my fucking beach ball up too much, but I'm like,
Pump my beach ball up. I like that.
the beach ball, mate. You know, just a bit of the
Yeah,
dunk.
yeah. I'm gonna steal that one.
The reason I say
pump
that
my
is because
beach
I've been
ball
playing
up.
Fortnite and my character, okay, I'm claiming it, my character, the mullet character that's in there.
Oh, that's yours.
He throws the beach ball up and does that, and I'm always doing that in the middle of a gunfight. So the
Yeah,
beach
nice.
ball, pump my beach ball up. But like I've had companies, you know, here and there. I won't say their names because they should have got content throughout things, but they needed a hand outside of that event or whatever. But multiple times I've been asked by companies, hey, can we refilm this or do this and do that? I'm like, yeah, no worries. And then they actually say, oh, we'll give you cash. I'm like, oh, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll just do it because I enjoy it. Like, next weekend, I've got which when you listen to this podcast, it will be last weekend. But I've got an event coming up for Call of Duty. I'm doing 1 6-hour day and 1 9-hour day. I'm casting and I'm also hosting the desk as a majority of my job. So hosting majority of the dog on the desk. Call of Duty event at Fortress. I'm not getting paid much at all. Like I'm getting, I probably can't say, but it's not much.
We're getting into talent rates, are we? That's always a fun discussion.
It's not much at all. Like let's say it's I can't even say that. I don't even know the power of what, but it's not much at all. Okay, I may as well just go to work for a couple of hours and I've earned that money. But I'm doing it because of the passion and all that type of stuff. Like I could have easily said, oh, I want to get my $750 a day, but I'm not getting that. I'm not getting anywhere near that. I'm just doing it because I love the scene.
People ask me all the time, Jacko, what do
type of
talent
stuff.
get paid in Australia? Anywhere between $500 and $1,000 for your experienced professional talent. There you go, folks. You heard it here from someone who has probably hired more talent than anyone else in the country.
There it is. If we do the math on that, divided by 10.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Okay, at the max rate.
Yeah.
There we go.
Which is more than many get. And by the way, I was saying that flippantly, despite it being true. I also want to say I'm someone who casted for 4 or 5 years before I earned $1. So I get it.
Absolutely. I think that people just kind of lose the fact of we're in a very like early stage thing, and we kind of got to work together as a community and build it from the ground up and work together. When teams lose, they never tweet out saying, oh, we lost this team. They just say, oh, we lost. And it's just like those small little things. I know it's not big, but just little things just to help each other out. And, you know, just a bit of that community. You know, we're kind of lacking that right now.
Oh, dude, we really are.
Yeah.
I mean, noting I don't want to keep you all night, Jacko, but this is a whole topic in itself. But I'll just scratch the surface for you. As someone who ran those community-driven LAN events years ago in community halls and you know, university complexes and stuff like that, that magic is gone. And I do want to just tie that together with that commentary note. I can't speak to your own arrangement, Jacko, but what I will speak to is many others who, if there's someone who posts a not an ad, well, I guess an ad. If they post an ad looking for esports talent and it's voluntary, like they don't have any budget or they don't want to pay anything, today, most of the time, not all, most of the time, that will be shot down in flames. That person will be harassed, even attacked for sure. For how dare you want something in return for nothing? Oh my fucking God. Have we all lost our mind? This person who posted about this gig, you can't even call it a gig. They're throwing together like a small stream. They're probably losing money on the event. They don't actually need talent, but they want it to make it better, and they're giving someone the opportunity. And I'm going to use the forbidden word for exposure. Now, that might be horrible for an established name. I'm going to pick a name out of a hat. I don't expect Mac to work for exposure. I don't expect that. I expect whatever, Jim Bob down the road, who no one knows, but it has a Twitter account with 2 followers. Yeah, he's probably going to get nothing. And if he goes on a stream that gets 1,000 views, that is valuable to him, and no one is going to tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a rant out of nowhere because it pisses me off.
I get you, man.
I hate it.
I get you.
But There is an issue. Conversely, sorry to play both sides of this fence once again. There is an issue where we've got to a stage where there are people making money and they're still not paying for services. But I'll say there's supply and demand. Do you know who needs to really address this? Yes, it is the people paying the bills at the end of the day, but they're not the ones that are going to impact this change. Because why would they? They're still making money and they're saving money by not paying talent well. It's the viewers. Because if the viewers don't give a shit, then what pressure is there to change? Because it's just supply and demand. I'm sure you're a smart enough man. And your viewers or your listeners will be smart enough to figure out supply and demand. There are people who want to do it for next to nothing. It is up to the viewers to say, hey, this quality is shit. I want Jacko. Go get Jacko and pay him a decent amount for his services. That is what's missing. And I'm sorry to say to the aspiring casters out there that if you can't get that out of the audience, then why the fuck should people pay you anyway? Like, is this just not like pretty straightforward?
Absolutely. It's kind of like nursing, like for example, as nursing. I think because my fiance is doing it. You have to do placement. Okay, placement is free. You have to do placement for free. Okay, and when you were earning a good money, you're old enough now. You could be out of home paying bills, blah blah blah, whatever. But you got to do placement. Okay, so picture doing free things with companies as placement, hoping, because I know that placement's more guaranteed, it's more structured and stuff, but hoping that there's some sort of, like, you can put that on your resume. So I've casted this event, casted that event. I had a guy on a couple of weeks ago. The podcast episode just went live. Grandmaster Goge. Grandmaster Goge actually does a podcast just recently, and now he actually casts with Katie Bedford. You know Katie Bedford. And him and her have casted over $500,000 USD worth of Warzone tournaments. They are the faces of Warzone casting now. He started from nothing. I remember the way I met him was because he said, do you want to join up on one of my tournaments? And we had like this whole massive conversation about everything. And then next minute he's on my podcast, and now he's casting with Katie Bedford. Like, you've got to start from somewhere, and you've got to see a way in. And exactly what he said the other day, if you can't find a way in through the door, you've got to find another way in. You've got to crack the window. You've got to come through the chimney. You've got to come through the floorboards. You've got to do something. You've got to get your way in there some way. Now, whether that is if you do it for nothing or something, but you've got to have a reliable source of the person that's offering the opportunity. So then, you can write that down, and it's a credible source saying, oh, I casted for this event. And then when you show a resume to, example, ESL as a caster, then you can get your foot in the door. But just don't demand a ton of money because you're new. You're a green guy. So it's a tough situation that we're in, man. And then, like what you're saying as well, you got to look at what exposure you get. Whilst on the weekend, we're going back to what I'm doing. Whilst on the weekend, I'm only getting a small amount. That's fine. My passion's also there. That's very high. But the exposure is also great in the community that I play a lot of the game, which is Call of Duty. So, but one thing I am surprised about, I'm having a little bit of a dig at Fortress here, is that why did they not put it on the main stage? They're putting it out the back. They're like, oh, it costs too much to put it on the main stage because we have to have camera crew and stuff. And we're like, this could be huge. This could build up. This could be so much bigger than what it is. But they're putting us out the back, so no main stage and stuff. So I'm like, oh, come on, man. Work with us. But anyway, that side of the story over. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things.
Yeah, it is. I think it's as someone who has hired, as I said, I'm pretty sure it would be either me or indirectly through working with ESL. We've hired easily more talent than anyone else in the country. And I have had first-hand experience negotiating full-time talent salaries, contracts, international contracts. I've hired talent for global events. And I can, and on top of this, I have the unique experience of because several people have done that, but I'm also talent. I'm also casting. I'm negotiating my own rates and worked in several countries. And I can tell you that there is an air of entitlement of some talent, because ultimately supply and demand will dictate what happens. Do you not like the money you're getting? Then don't do it. Like, it's pretty easy, really. Are there predatory practices? Yes, 100%. Do I believe certain talent deserve more? Yes, some do. Some don't. Some I think are actually quite shit and still have a good wicket, which is cool for them.
Good on them.
Yeah, good on them. But because it's blown up on Twitter not too long ago, where talent were complaining about the system that exists, and there are problems with it. But ultimately, supply and demand. Esports, like any other industry in Australia, it's a capitalist system, and supply and demand wins. And if you don't want to do something, don't do it. And if there's enough people, let's just say, because I don't want to use any names. So you got Bob. So Bob quits. He says, this deal, $3 a day is not enough. I want more than my $3 a day. I'm quitting. Trust me, if business X, who hired Bob, then fired him, or he left, if they get enough pressure, if people tell them in the Twitch chat or bomb them on Twitter or whatever, saying, hey, where the fuck is Bob? Where the fuck is Bob? They will get him back.
Yeah. If
they don't, and the metrics stay the same, the show goes on, I'm sorry, Bob, if everything stays the same, you weren't, unfortunately, I have to be the bad guy, you weren't contributing as much as you thought you were. And that is where your value is. If the show changes 0, the results change 0, you contributed 0. Do you know what 0 contribution gets paid? Fuck all. So, sorry to explain some basic economics on your show, Jacko, but it's something.
Look at Merc and Maven.
About this.
Look at Merc and Maven on Call of Duty. They never got a contract for the year, which I still don't fucking understand. I still don't get it. They get it for the LAN events. They probably asked for too much. You probably know about it more than I do from insider knowledge.
I would defer you to my last 10 minutes of ranting to understand what has happened there. I won't answer anything more than that. But
okay.
Yeah. Hey, enough screaming got them back for some events, though.
Yes, it did. And that's right. So their value wasn't 0. Their value was well above 0. And I myself was like, what the fuck? Even with Katie Bedford gone, I'm like, what the fuck? She's the woman of COD. And then they brought in Lottie. She was fantastic, but she's now on Halo. So they got a fantastic recruit there. But speaking of Halo, man, I'll tell you what, Cairns is coming up this weekend, which is last weekend when the podcast goes live. But I'm so excited to see, well, all Aussie talent, but the Chiefs. I have a feeling, for some weird reason, I have a feeling that Barco is going to get picked up for some overseas team.
That's kind of trying to predict that, is it going to rain in the next year? The answer is it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. He is a freak in the best possible way.
Fucking nuts.
And it's funny. So I mentioned earlier in this podcast that I actually I did an interview with Ads. And Ads needs no introduction, but for those who don't know him, legend of the Halo scene, been a competitor for I think 17 years, WCG competitor, 2008, flew to Germany, came 4th in the world. He's insane. And now he's flying to Kansas as an old, frail man to play against the world's best with an old, frail team, for the most part. There's also some COD kids in there. But we were having a conversation, so I've been watching Halo competitively, casting Halo for over 10 years. I'm a Halo fiend. He is a Halo fiend as well. And we were talking a mutual respect for Barcode. And I do not want to gas this guy. Any more gas in his head, he's floating. He's flying away.
Yeah, he won't come back on my podcast again. He'll be too fucking,
But we were talking about how insane he is. And this is coming from me, who's watched the best, and Ads, who's been the best and played the best. He is a freak. And he's one of those guys where I kind of want to be annoyed at all the hype, but I can't be annoyed because it's justified. Like, the hype is real with Barcode. I wish him every success, but he doesn't need that wishing because he's going to have it. He's already got it in Australia. If he goes to North America, he's going to really just be slapping cheeks over there. I do believe that, and I said this on Twitter, mostly as a mock, as a joke, but I am somewhat serious. It will be disappointing because we need those players that people aspire to. We need those rock stars for Australia. We already saw this when we saw Mindfreak, when the Call of Duty team overseas, and when they played Paris Legion. Like we kind of, as a community, for the most part, forgot about them. Like they weren't it all became about the next team under them, and that's fine. It's good to put them in the spotlight. I'm sure they enjoyed it. It's not the same because instead of saying Australia has a team that can compete, we no longer do. And I fear that's what's going to happen with Chiefs. If Barcode goes or more players, I feel it's the same. But who the hell am I? I'm not going to be the one that says, hey, Barcode, don't follow your dream. What the fuck? Who's going to do that? Yeah. I'm merely stating I am mourning in advance.
Yeah. I'm going to be spewing when he goes, but I'll have to get him back on the podcast again because that episode that I shot with him was the funniest shit ever, man. Like I was kind of bagging him here and there, and he was bagging me back. It was funny as, bro. It was so funny. But yeah, that was a vibe, man. He's a funny guy as well. So I'm keen to see, if he does move on, then where he goes to, and whatnot. So they've got a tough bracket with C9 as well. When this podcast comes out again, they won the championship. So well done to the boys at Chiefs. Fantastic. Bravo. But it's incredible to see the movement that's happening. Same as our League of Legends team. I saw them the week beforehand that we lost the split. Because I was in Brisbane and I was with them in the house and stuff and just chatting to them and shit. And they were very nervous. It was all head games. It was all head games. It was head games.
Talk about the games and the team. That house, you Chiefs guys are hooked up. God damn. That
house is I can't say too much actually. I think I might. Yeah, I can't say too much.
I have questions. Hey, Bob is still waiting for my damn invite, bro.
It's
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I was a bit of a gag order. The boys were like, "Don't show any of that on the vlog. You can't show this. You can't show that." Okay. Cut that. Cut this. Cut that. I've got a lot of archives that I've got. But anyway, it was a good time. The house is huge. The house is fucking huge,
dude.
Bro.
I've seen some video. It looks wild.
It's fucking huge, man. It's nuts. And these gamers just go in there, bro. Like, Vulturous and I were in the pool for 3 hours one day, and we're just throwing a ball backwards and forwards at each other's heads. Because they were just inside just playing that League of Legends. We're like, dude, I couldn't do that shit. Fuck that. And Mark's like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, man. But we were just vibing out, So that's how it is, man. But dude, I think we might wrap it up, man. It's an hour.
Hey, whatever you're feeling, man.
Hour 26.
As I said, I'm good at talking shit.
Hour 26. We could definitely sit down one time and have a beverage around a campfire or something like that.
Hell yeah. That'd be good.
And we'll definitely need to do that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Josh, for coming onto the podcast. And is there any last words you'd like to say or shout out your socials as well before we go?
Look, I don't know why you'd follow my social nonsense, but you can find me at InManiac on Twitter. But yeah, as for shout outs, no, not really, other than get your ass to DreamHack, guys. It's going to be sick. It's going to be a really, really fun event. And keep your eyes peeled to the socials to see more details about that coming soon because it's going to be mad. Other than that, yeah, thank you, Jacko. Appreciated the chat.
Hey, appreciate you coming by. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe, stay swole. As always, Boom Baby. Peace.